Hi everybody, hey, it's Robert Earl out here at the Eco Ranch in far west Texas. This is part 2 of the hen house build. We picked up kind of in the middle because starting the walls and getting the foundations in, that was kind of boring. And you know, it's the finished build that I think you're most interested in. So this is part 2, and we're going to start off with setting the capstones and getting the cement into that's going to be underneath the nest boxes. So let me show you what I've done with the capstone. Okay, you may have noticed that I had my safety glasses on, and they're on for a reason. I am going to have to be using my rock hammer and a chisel on these capstones. There's my rock hammer and my chisel. I'll show you that in a couple of minutes. But what you do is you start out dry fitting your capstones. And these are just roughly dry fitted into the corner. Come on around. So the capstones are all there. Now, the reason I want to put capstones on this is I'd like a little bit of a lip to protect the cement. This mix, especially if you see this whiter mix up here, this mix has a lot of bentonite in it, and while it has structural stability, it isn't, you can see I can break it up. Now it's still curing, but it isn't the best thing to use if you're going to have a high traffic area. So the mortar we use here will have no bentonite whatsoever in it. In fact, I'm so disappointed with this, I'm not using any bentonite period in the mix anymore. But at any rate, I have to take and chisel these so that they all fit. Once I get them fitted with about a ½ inch gap, then we're going to start setting them. Now here's the thing. If you were setting this normally, in a normal way, most masons would tell you to start in this corner, make your corner, and then work your way out from the corners. Now that's fine if you're working with something that's completely level. I didn't bother to completely level this, and it looks to me like I'm about 2 inches out from this edge all the way to this edge. But I don't know, and I'm not going to worry about leveling it. So what I'm going to do is start at the high end and level as I go, and then we'll fill in behind with the cement, and I'll end up with a perfectly level area to build my nest boxes on. So let's get started on chipping away and dry fitting these. Okay guys, I'm working with limestone, and it doesn't really want to break in the best spots. So as I was trying to dry fit and get it tight, I can't get it overly tight, and it is a chicken coop after all. But here's my rock hammer, typical rock hammer. I think I paid 20 couple bucks for it. And in a case of trying to shape it, you just want to gently, see how I've knocked that edge off there. And you do want to hold it in your hand. Now see, that's what I'm talking about. So then, trying to cover for the mistake, you want to get this lip off. And if this does the way I think it will, it's going to break in the wrong spot. But this is the idea that generally works with other stones. Like I said, there'll probably be a couple of stonemasons out there that will call me and comment and say, well, you're using the wrong tool for that. And I know it's not the best tool. I know I should be cutting it with the blade, and I do have the blades. But again, it's the hen house. It's not the finished product of the house. So I was just trying to chip off some of the bad spots, which I've done. Now we'll show you the, I'll show you the dry fit, and then we'll go into more. So here's the dry fit, and I'll just walk down. You can see I've got the joints a bit tighter than they were when I made the first pass. I've got my corner set, and we're ready now to go ahead and mix up the mortar. I'm going to use a stiff mortar mix because I do have to pick this up a little bit. I want the cement in here to be about 2 inches thick, so I've got to pick this up a good 1.5 inches here, which is probably going to translate down to 3 or 4 inches down there. Because the mortar mix I use is more of a cement mix than a mortar mix, it'll be stronger than a typical mortar, and it will hold those joints. So let me mix that up, and we'll get back to this in a few minutes. Well, the capstones are done. Here's a look at them as we go around. And the boxes are ready. You can see I have down on this end, I have about 4.5 inches to pour concrete into. And on this end, it's closer to 4 inches. So I was able to even it out nicely. One thing I wanted to point out to people, let me turn this around so you can look at me. If you're kind of tentative about doing anything, whether it be masonry or carpentry or anything, whatever you're tentative about, study it a little bit, try to work with someone that's an expert, and then go out and do it. I'll tell you a real quick story, and I'm going to show you the capstones while I do it. There was a fellow that lived here in Terlingua. He was an excellent stonemason. He's done some of the most beautiful buildings I've ever seen, including a gorgeous fireplace in a roundhouse. His name was Larry. Now, I got to talk to Larry, and it was around that beautiful fireplace in the roundhouse, and he talked and talked and talked to me for a couple of hours about how he did the masonry. Now, the way I learn things is I read, and then I go out and I try it. I don't have to work with somebody for years and years to try to get an idea of how to do something. So I listened carefully to Larry, went over to his house a couple of times, listened to him talk about masonry, and I got a feel for everything I'm doing now it came from Larry. Now, unfortunately, he died a couple of years ago, and he's greatly missed in the area, but at least he left behind some of the most beautiful stonework and several excellent stonemasons, of which I'm not one, but he left a bunch of good ones behind. But one thing he told me, I said, how do you, if you're doing a flooring, and let's just use my capstones and pretend we're doing a floor here, I said, how do you get the stones in the floor nice and smooth? And I'm thinking that you're going around and you're mortaring the edges and putting them down and trying to lay it on a flat cement, or a flat sand rather. And Larry told me, and he must have said it 6 times because I was too thick-headed. He must have thought I was too thick-headed to get it right. He kept saying, just press the rock down into the mortar. Just press the stone down into the mortar. And I'm thinking, yeah, okay, but how do I get the mortar around the edges? And he must have thought I was the stupidest guy on the planet, but I wasn't. He just left out something that to him was very, very simple. Step number 1 is plump a whole bunch of mortar down. For example, fill this whole cavity here with mortar. Then gently press your stones down until they're level. But he didn't say fill the cavity with mortar. He assumed that. So I asked him 6 or 8 times. He must have thought I was stupid as hell. And he didn't live long enough to see me do any of my masonry work. But anything that I do with masonry, it's a result of my conversations with him, and I appreciate his help, and he's greatly missed here. So, now we're going to go on and put the cement in there, even that all up, and then it's got to set up and cure, and we'll get on to the next step. Hey guys, it's been a couple of days. I've done some work. I'm about to do a bit more. The capstones are finished and the concrete's poured. Let me give you a close-up of it. Alright, here we are with the capstones in place and the concrete poured. Now surprisingly, this piece here cracked a little bit as it dried. It won't hurt anything, but it's the only crack in the whole, in the whole fill. Go around the corner, come around here. Tell you about those pieces of metal in a second. Now those pieces of metal are going to be the forms for my nest boxes, and we'll get into that about this. But I just wanted to show you that the capstones were in place. And I want to tell you something about these capstones. This was really cool, so let me put this back on the tripod and we'll talk about the capstones I used. Alright, so here I am sitting on what's eventually going to be the nest boxes. I want to tell you about these capstones, though. It's really cool. When I worked, the last job that I had, which I was very lucky to get here because there's very few jobs here, I worked for a local nursery, a local wholesale nursery that takes desert plants and delivers them all through the Southwest. Well, they also do stone planters and benches and things like that. And so I went into the quarry in Louders, Texas, which is north of Abilene, quite a bit, and got to know the people there, and that's where I got a lot of the countertops you've seen in the other videos. In fact, I'm going to do all our kitchen countertops inside the house and the bathroom countertops, and the windows, the window casings, and the window sills are all going to be out of Louders stone. And last I heard, some of the McMansions were all using Luder stone. So these $1 million cracker boxes that they build nowadays and call McMansions, they've got Luder stone, so you know it must be good, right? So I went there one time and he had these, he was telling me, I was explaining I wanted to do my flooring out of his stone. And he says, well, I have something that might work for you. And he showed me these. Now these, if you look at it, it looks like a rough cut piece of limestone, which is exactly what it is. Now I don't remember the whole story, so I may have it a little off, but I will tell the contractor, whoever you are, shame on you. But a contractor ordered these to use as siding for a house, for houses. So they cut these at the quarry. They cut these, and they're about 1.25 inches thick-ish. But they cut them special. They have a smooth cut on the back, and they have a lip here. And of course the lip is to push it out as you're stacking it. It pushes it out a little bit, allows some airflow in between. I think, yeah, you can see that. And so so it goes like that. It's constantly just pushing it away, so there's a water channel, airflow, moisture channel behind. That's the idea. So they did I mean, they must have done 100 tons of this stuff. Then the guy cancels the doggone order. So he's left with all these. He tells me, well, each pallet weighed about a little over a ton. He says, I'll tell you what, for 25 bucks a pallet, and I mean there were bins on the pallet. He's 25 bucks a ton, you can have these. So I didn't know what I was going to do, but I believe I bought about 6 pallets. They're still down with my friend. I bought about 6 pallets of these, and the idea was I was going to take the smooth end here, just grind that lip off real gently. I have a bench grinder. Grind that lip off, and that was going to be my flooring, and I was going to buff the flooring up and put a seal on it. I may still do that, but for now, I was shocked at what beautiful capstones it made here. And I'm going to do the duck pond out of these as well. Point of this is, when you're looking into doing stuff like I'm doing, sustainable living, or even trying to build things inexpensively, look around you at unexpected places, because you will find a lot of times the stuff that you really need. That's what we did here. So the next video is going to be me building the nest boxes themselves, and that's going to be kind of cool. For the meantime, we've got this up, got to show you that, talked for a bit. And until next time, it's Robert Earl here at the Eco Ranch out in far west Texas saying, see you later.